watching KCCI 8 News.
This is the scene you woke up to 1 year ago today. It is etched in the minds of many. The news that two Metro police officers were quickly and cruelly gunned down in their cars. In the hours and weeks that followed, Central Iowa mourned the loss of Des Moines Police Sergeant Anthony Bominio and Urbandale Officer Justin Martin. Overnight, both the Des Moines and Urbandale police departments were awash in blue lights showing support for their fallen friends. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. It is a day of remembrance.
It sure is. This is the 1 year anniversary, as you said, of this horrible ambush-style shooting that happened both here in Urbandale and Des Moines. We're going to have live coverage throughout, special coverage this morning from both the studio and also out here in Urbandale, where, as you can see behind me, the police department is just coated in blue lights. More than a half dozen LED lights have been set up, shining both on the police department itself, but also shining on the American flag standing in front of the Urbandale Police Department. Dozens of citizens have been rolling up and taking pictures this morning of this memorial that also includes that single bright white light shining straight up into the clouds, bouncing off the sky. You can see it from a mile or two away here in the Urbandale area. Now, we are just a few blocks away from where all this unfolded 1 year ago. We are on 86th Street here in Urbandale, just a few blocks west of 70th and Aurora, where Officer Martin was killed at 1:06 a.m. last year. 20 minutes later, Sergeant Bominio was gunned down in his car at Merle Hay and Sheridan. The moment of that ambush attack was marked overnight in a special broadcast on police radios around central Iowa.
You are missed and will never be forgotten. 11:40 and 50:30, you are forever in our hearts. A moment of silence for these officers at 1:05.
And that extended for more than a minute overnight. Sergeant Bominio was 38 years old at the time of his death. He was born in Fort Dodge. He grew up in Iowa City and attended Simpson College. He worked for the Indianola Police Department for a time before joining the force in Des Moines. He had a wife and 3 children. Officer Martin was just 24 years old. He grew up in Rockwell City and also attended Simpson College. He joined the Urbandale force in August of 2015. He is survived by his parents and a brother. 1 year later, Martin's parents are still going through the process that all of central Iowa is, trying to just come to grips with what happened a year ago. Tommy Clark has more from them. This has just impacted, obviously, the whole Rockwell City community as well.
Exactly, Eric. Randy and Jade Martin say that the memory of their son is still alive, and they see his memory everywhere, including in their hometown of Rockwell City. They say from the bridge there that has his badge number to the football field, he is still being remembered. The Martins say Justin was destined to be a police officer who served others, and that will be his lasting legacy.
That's what he had his heart set on, and he got to do it, and not everybody gets to do the job they want to do and love doing it.
He said, I just want to help people. I want to be part of a community, and I want to help people.
Now, tonight at 5 and 6, KCCI's Laura Terrell is our reporter who sat down with the family of fallen officer Justin Martin. She'll have more from them, including how they feel about the community support they've received and also just how they remember him on a daily basis.
And you saw those blue ribbons on the trees there in Rockwell City that remain up. There's also memorials at Simpson College where they both went to school. It's just impacted so much of the community. And there have also been memorials here in Urbandale as well. Hundreds of family and friends gathered just not long ago in the last handful of weeks to honor Officer Justin Martin in Martin Field next to the Urbandale Police Station. There are other reminders as well, like the thin blue line placed near the front door of the police station behind me. The city also added an eagle statue of vigilance at the police station entrance. So when you walk in, all those things remind residents of Urbandale of that tragic day.
To remind us to stay vigilant, not only as a police force, but as a community, and not let this define us, but let this make us grow closer as a community and as a police force to continue moving forward.
And they have to move forward, but one thing they say has not changed in the last year, their commitment to the citizens of Urbandale. That goes on. They have to continue doing their job despite what happened a year ago today. We also want to go live with Alex Sachs over in Des Moines at the police department this morning. Alex, we know that there are events planned around central Iowa today as well.
That's right, Eric, and we are outside of the Des Moines Police Department this morning where it's hard to miss. You can see it lit up in blue just like it was 1 year ago after a tragedy struck the community. And the grieving process for both departments up until this point has been very public. And today they say they want to focus their attention internally and have a little bit more private moments to remember their fallen officers in their own way together as a law enforcement community. So private events will happen today for both departments. At 10:30 this morning, the Urbandale Police Department will have a public event with Officer Justin Martin's family. And while this has been a very public tragedy and what is sure to be a difficult day for many, when we spoke with leaders in the departments, they say they can't say enough about how their men and women have coped and come together this past year.
What you've seen is a lot of strength, a lot of courage, a lot of resiliency, professionals knowing what they need to do and going out and doing it under some very difficult circumstances.
I think that this incident not only brought us as an agency, as far as people, officers working together closer, also brought us closer with, Des Moines Police Department, and definitely closer as a community.
And since we've been here this morning, Eric, officers have been arriving. It is still any other day for them. It is still a work day as they remember their fallen comrade. Eric.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing happen here in Urbandale as well, Alex. We should also mention that perhaps a big part of the healing process for the officers in both departments is the fact that they didn't have to go through a long, drawn-out trial in this case for the man responsible for this shooting. Scott Michael Green was captured just hours after the ambush, and in May, he pleaded guilty to the murders, that he acted willfully and deliberately. He was immediately sentenced to 2 consecutive terms of life in prison at the Iowa State Penitentiary. It is a cool morning, a very quiet and calm morning with a lot of memories going on around here in Des Moines and Urbandale. We're going to have much more in this half hour, including how the officers in both departments, as well as other departments around the central Iowa area, have kind of adjusted to life after this shooting, what they're doing differently now. But for now, we'll go back to you, Elizabeth, in the studio.
All right, thanks so much, Eric. Well, also this morning, police near Denver, Colorado are investigating a shooting at a Walmart there. Rhea Spigner is following the latest breaking details. And Rhea, what do we know so far?
Well, Elizabeth, right now we have been able to confirm that 3 people are dead. It happened last night in Thornton, Colorado. Witnesses said the lone gunman just walked in nonchalantly and started randomly shooting on a group of people near the cash registers. The gunman fled in what's described as a newer model 4-door Mitsubishi Mirage. Officials do not have the license plate number. This is a look at the person they are seeking, and people say he is armed and dangerous. Well, investigators have released new details about the man at the center of the terror attack in New York that killed 8 people. They released this image of the suspect, Safulu Saipov, inside the Home Depot where he rented the truck he used to plow down the victims on a bike path. He's confessed to the killing spree and told detectives he was, quote, proud of what he'd done. Detectives said Saipov had planned to continue his attack along the Brooklyn Bridge. Well, the Houston Astros are World Series winners for the first time in franchise history. They won Game 7 against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The final score was 5-1. George Springer powered the Astros to victory with a double that put Houston up 2-0 in the first inning. He then got a home run in the second, putting the Astros up 5-0. He was named the World Series MVP.
The time is now almost 6:08. We'll check in with Riley. At least a little warmer than yesterday morning, but also some fog out there.
Yeah, definitely. That's going to be the main weather headache this morning when you're heading out the door. Watch out for low visibilities. Again, on Interstate 80, even up and down. Interstate 35, look at Creston, your visibility 0. Same for you in Knoxville if you're watching from there. Just allow yourself some extra time this morning. Again, traveling on the interstates and the back roads. Northwestern Iowa, not really too bad right now, but you're seeing some patchy fog from out going into Carroll. And we are dealing with some embedded drizzle out there, too, under the clouds. So we are under a dense fog advisory, mainly south and east of the metro area, even north of Interstate 80. We've been expanded there. So, again, some of the cities included, Indianola, Grinnell included in that one, even Rose Hill down towards Lamoni. Creston, you're also included in that dense fog advisory that goes until 9. But I do think some of the fog will linger a little past that. Temperatures this morning, again, starting off on a chilly note. Not much wind going on, of course, so that's the good news there. So plenty of clouds, drizzle, maybe an isolated shower this morning. Then as we get into the afternoon, we could see those clouds thin out just a little bit right before the sun sets, with temperatures ending up in the lower 50s. We have a cool down coming tomorrow and then some changes just in time for the weekend. I'll detail that in the 8-day forecast coming up.
Well, after the break, our coverage on the 1-year anniversary of the police shootings continues. We look into how the attack has impacted police departments throughout the state of Iowa. and what the Des Moines Police Department is now doing to help the families of officers killed in the line of duty. 6:13 now. Depending on where you live, you may need to give yourself a few extra minutes to deal with that fog on the drive.
Yeah, definitely. It's been dense this morning, especially south and east of the metro area. I've been dealing with some pretty dense fog out there. Even Altoona, you could see, visibility is being a little reduced. Concentrate on those lights there. You could see the fog there, the low level moisture, and then off the distance, Interstate 80. But it does look like the traffic is flowing pretty well out there this morning. Now, central Iowa, we're going to deal with fog, drizzle, maybe even a light shower here in the morning, late morning time frame. So just be aware of that. Kind of a drizzly, gloomy morning out there. But as we get into the afternoon, we should see the clouds thin out a little bit late in the day, right before the sun sets, helping our temperatures get to about 53 to 55 degrees here. Some fog along Interstate 80 again going westward. Creston actually reporting some fog this morning too, some drizzle. Should see some late day thin clouds, so that's good news there. Now the cooler temperatures will stay up to the north. We've been seeing a few showers up in that direction. Should see some clouds decreasing as we get to the afternoon there for you as well. Going to be a chilly day in Hampton, 50, and then as we get closer to Interstate 80, lower 50s. Again, Interstate 80 going to deal with that fog this morning. Dense fog advisory goes until 9 o'clock in the morning for you in Knoxville. Corridor right around 51 for that afternoon high. Tomorrow we cool down and then we warm up just in time for the weekend. But next week starts off with a chill. I'll talk about that in your 8-day forecast coming up.
All right, Riley. Well, we all remember these images that unfolded 1 year ago today. The community coming together to leave flowers, notes, and other mementos at Urbandale and Des Moines Police Departments, a way to honor two men who died while serving and protecting their community. We continue our live coverage from both here in Urbandale as well as the Des Moines Police Department's 1 year after the ambush shooting of Officer Justin Martin and Sergeant Tony Bominio. Over this last year, we've been wondering how the different police officers in both Urbandale and Des Moines and other communities have been responded. What has changed in their jobs because of what happened a year ago this morning? Our Alex Sachs is over in Des Moines with that part of the story. What have you found, Alex?
Eric, we've learned that Des Moines police have added a new procedure since the ambush-style attack on Sergeant Anthony Bominio. They're calling it a diary, and what it is an electronic document which contains all of the financial and personal information about an officer in case they are killed on the job. Sergeant Paul Brezik says the idea is designed to help families.
It's a one-stop shop for everything personal and professional going on in your life, so that we can help lighten that load on the family and they don't have to worry about all these loose ends.
Now, while that is a change within the department, Sergeant Paul Brezik went on to say one thing that is still the same today as it was a year ago and before that is the job to protect Des Moines residents, and they're not going to be doing that hiding behind armed cars and bulletproof windows, despite what happened to Sergeant Bominio. Eric?
Yeah, they can't. They're a member of the community, and we appreciate all that they do. Thank you, Alex. Well, obviously, this is not just Des Moines and Urbandale impacted either. What happened a year ago this morning really impacted police departments across the entire state of Iowa, and we got a sense of that when we rode along with some of the officers in the suburbs who say that night a year ago today changed the way they patrol the streets every day in every community. They now realize when they leave in the morning for work, they may not come home that night. They have a new appreciation for how precious life is, but few have considered doing anything else.
We've talked about not putting yourself in a situation that you can't see everything. You know, keep your head up. Don't stay in your phone. Don't listen to the radio all the time. You got to look up. So we can't lose focus. It's almost like survivor's guilt. I just wish it hadn't happened to anyone, but not to them. It's almost like you think it should have been you.
The reality really became clear when some of the departments actually handed out papers for officers to help plan for their own funerals in the event of something like this. It impacted officers across the state of Iowa. Coming up still this morning, we're going to kind of walk through the timeline of what happened a year ago today, tell you what unfolded and how the community came together, but also that community response that's been so important that officers still talk about this morning. They're so appreciative of what happened as a result in the days and weeks after this. We're going to dive into that a little bit later this half hour.
Yeah, such an outpouring of support that day. Thanks so much, Eric. Well, also this morning, the Iowa Department of Transportation is making an offer to farmers ahead of winter weather. The DOT is offering to pay farmers $2 per bushel above the statewide average to just leave several rows of corn standing by busy intersections. Both farmers and drivers seem to be on board.
I just think it'd be beneficial and, you know, probably a good deal for a lot of farmers.
I think it's a great idea. You know, the more snow that you keep off the roads, the more, you know, transportation can get through, and I mean, anything they can do to keep the roads clear.
Well, the DOT says farmers can still participate even if they've already harvested their crops. The department is also offering $1 a foot to use round bales as windbreakers as well. Well, you may notice gas prices are higher this morning. Overnight gas shot up 10 cents. This time yesterday, gas was at about $2.39 a gallon across Des Moines. This morning, though, it's up to about $2.49.
Wow, well, there you go. Well, if you're headed out and you have to hit the pump before you hit school or work, at least it's not cold out there. Still a couple things to watch out for, right, Riley?
Yeah, the fog being one of the main things, so be aware of that. Probably just going to need a little extra time when you head out the door. Now, temperatures are starting the 40s, still chilly out there, and we do have a little bit of patchy drizzle, too. North wind at 6, so your wind chill, you know, about 3 degrees difference here, 42 degrees. Now, we've been dealing with the fog this morning. It's going to be the main weather issue this morning. East on Interstate 80, even west, dealing with some light fog. South and north on Interstate 35, you're going to run into some trouble spots as well. Some of the visibilities have been down to 0 this morning, about a quarter of a mile in Creston. You can see once you get to Ames, points north, then we start to get a little bit of better conditions. At least the visibilities have started to improve there from Fort Dodge to Algona. So good news there, but I do think the fog is going to linger through the morning hours, especially south of Interstate 80 and east of Interstate 35. Now, this dense fog advisory goes until 9 o'clock, but I do think that we'll probably see some patchy fog linger past that, probably through about 10 or 11 or so. Jacket weather this morning, upper 30s, so definitely chilly in Fort Dodge and Algona, and then you get a little bit warmer south of Interstate 80. Again, we are dealing with some patchy drizzle under those clouds as well. So, again, as the students are walking maybe to the bus stop this morning, could deal with some drizzle out there, lower visibilities, maybe an isolated shower this morning, too. Lunchtime, I still think we're going to be mainly cloudy, but as we get later in the day, we could get the clouds to thin out just a little bit and some sunshine right before it sets this evening if Mother Nature gives us a little bit of treat out there. So keep our fingers crossed if we get some of that sunshine. But again, seeing some light showers up in northern Iowa right now, in southern Minnesota. Drizzle being reported in central Iowa and then also around Omaha this morning. So like I mentioned, it's going to be kind of a gloomy start to the day, but we will see some improving conditions. So midday temperatures, mid-40s out there. Late day, here's 1 o'clock into the late afternoon. Like I mentioned, the clouds try to thin out a little bit. Southeastern Iowa may see a few showers lingering about. And then tonight stays mainly quiet overnight. Mostly clear to partly cloudy, but it is going to be a cooler night on tap. North wind comes in, lower 30s up north. I think the metro area between about 32 and 34. We may see some patchy fog early tomorrow morning once again. I think it'll be partly cloudy as the day goes in, but the clouds will start to thicken and become more widespread in the overnight hours on Friday night, and we will see a good chance of some shower activity coming in the evening on Friday. Keeping it unsettled through Saturday morning, 53 for the high. Again, we change our clock Saturday night into Sunday. I think there's a chance of maybe some rain up in northern Iowa. Other than that, I think we'll stay mainly cloudy and dry in central. We'll watch that as it gets closer. Next week looks much cooler. Slight chance of precip comes in Tuesday night into Wednesday.
All right, we'll keep that in mind. Thanks, Riley.
All right, let's get a check-in on your traffic this morning. It is looking good out there, 621. No accidents or incidents to report. This is I-235 at MLK. Tends to be a busy area, starting to pick up just a little bit as we inch towards 630. Let's take a look across the metro. Looks like, again, we're getting a little slowdown along Highway 69 going towards Indianola. If that's part of your morning commute, you would keep that in mind. Otherwise, let's get a check-in on your mobile speed units from Des Moines. Looks like the 1600 block of 30th Street is going to be where you want to watch your speed, along with the 600 block of 24th Street, right near Mediacom and Woodland Cemetery. We also have one to look out for at the 2700 block of Southeast 22nd. It's just south of Riverwood Elementary, and I'll have your Polk County mobile speed units coming up.
Well, today, Republicans are set to release their new tax plan when they hope to pass the bill that they're calling Once in a Generation. Plus, President Trump is expected to announce his pick for the next Federal Reserve chair, who it is, and why there are some mixed feelings on the pick. Top Republicans vowed to release their once-in-a-generation, they call it, tax cut plan today. This after missing a self-imposed Wednesday deadline. The ambitious timetable calls for passing the measure in the House by Thanksgiving. Well, court hearings for former Trump campaign officials Paul Manafort and Rick Gates begin today. A federal judge said Wednesday that the financial condition and travel histories of the two men are not enough to alter the terms of their release. Gates and Manafort were arraigned on Monday, and they are both currently on House detention. Also today, President Trump is expected to announce his pick for the next Federal Reserve chair. Sources say the frontrunner right now is Jerome Powell. He is reportedly described as boring by Wall Streeters. However, experts say that he's a solid choice for Fed chair. If he accepts the position, he would begin in February of 2018. We have more news to come this morning after 6:30, how the ambush shootings 1 year ago have changed the neighborhoods that they happened in the metro. Plus, we're still following breaking news overnight, another shooting, this one in Colorado. A manhunt overnight for the man accused of opening fire in a Walmart.
And looking at your forecast for today, we are dealing with some dense fog this morning. A dense fog advisory continues through 9 a.m. We'll see some improving weather, maybe some sunshine later today. I'll have your forecast coming up next.